Hello, welcome to Movie Rewind. Today I will show you a 2011 American comedy film, Hall Pass. Watch out as this video contains spoilers. Enjoy! Richard Rick Mills is a middle-aged father of three. He reminisces about his college days with his two older kids. The trio looks at Rick's college pictures, which makes their kids marvel at how attractive their mother is and what has changed. Later that evening, the couple meets up with their best friends, Fred and Grace, who are also married. They attend a dinner party intended to honor another of their friends, Laurie. Grace and Maggie rush off to meet with Laurie while the guys go to get some drinks. The women watch as their husbands lustfully stare at a newly divorced woman and express disgust at how men are always sex-driven. On the drive home, Rick and Maggie plan to have an intimate night after Rick drops their babysitter Paige home. Paige asks Rick to buy her some beer, but Rick visualizes himself being arrested for purchasing alcohol for a minor and kicks her out the car. At home, Rick has to deal with his daughter, and by the time he comes in for the intimate night, Maggie is already asleep. Rick and Fred meet up for coffee, where they spend most of their time ogling a hot barista. Fred shares that he usually self-pleases in the car. Their lustful fantasies are interrupted by a mutual friend who ridicules their nasty habits and invites them to a housewarming party. Rick hosts a game night where Fred and some other friends, Gary, Flats, and Hoghead, attend. While playing, Maggie comes down to wish them a good night and reminds Rick to listen to the baby via the baby monitor. When she gets upstairs, she finds that Rick took the wrong baby monitor and the baby is crying. As she consoles the baby, she overhears the men's conversation via the other monitor. Hoghead asks how much money each dude would pay secretly to cheat on their wives. Fred says $6,000, while Rick says he would pay anything. Maggie shares the conversation with Grace and Laurie. Although dismayed, Laurie advises the women to give their husbands a hall pass. This is a one-week period when the men act as if they weren't married. She says she tried it with her husband and her marriage is better than ever. Soon, the couples attend the housewarming party. Unfortunately, the men get separated from the rest of the group. The two start mocking the hosts sexually, not realizing until it's too late that the other group is listening in from a secret room. The couples get kicked out by the angry hosts. That night, Maggie scolds Rick for treating intimacy like it means nothing. She decides to give him a hall pass and explains what it means. Maggie says she will spend the week at her parents' home and Rick is free to do whatever he wants. The following day, Rick shares this news with Fred. Fred is jealous and goes home to manipulate his wife into giving him a hall pass too. However, Grace refuses to grant him one, so Fred goes to self-juice in the car as usual. This time, Fred isn't so lucky, as the police catch him and his whole neighborhood has to watch and learn what he's doing in the car. An angry Grace scolds Fred and gives him a hall pass as well. Fred excitedly gives Rick the news and psychs him into hitting on as many girls as possible in the free week. The guys drag along their friends, hoping to pick up as many women as they please. On the first day, the group ends up at Applebee's for dinner. After eating and drinking, the guys are too tired to stay out longer, so they each head home. On the second day, the guys hit a local golf course. Gary shows up with chocolate edibles and coerces the guys into eating them. Soon the guys are tripping and their eyes are bloodshot red. They end up wreaking havoc on the golf course and must be chased away by security. Meanwhile, Maggie and Grace are at a baseball game that Maggie's dad coaches. During the game, a cute player invites Maggie over for drinks after the game. Maggie hesitates since she is married, and Grace mentions that they should also have hall passes. Maggie's dad agrees to watch the kids with Paige while the girls attend the party. On the third day, the guys have dinner, but Flats, Gary, and Hoghead soon leave. They chastise the two for talking a big game, yet they haven't approached a single girl. Rick wants to call it quits, but Fred reminds him of the power they will lose if their wives realize that they cannot get laid without them. The two head off to an age-restricted bar where they cause the bartender to lose his job for allowing them entry. After a while, the two go to a bar and try hitting on women, but nothing works. Fred suggests that they get drunk and do it like they did in college. Unfortunately, the move causes Fred to get a nasty punch in his eye, and the two spend their fourth day nursing their hangovers. Elsewhere, Maggie and Grace have a great time with the baseball players. Grace is enthralled by a younger player named Jerry, while Maggie is attracted to the older coach. Rick tries online dating, but Fred calls him out on it. The two decide to hit on people they know, making the experience casual. Fred tries hitting on the newly divorced woman, but she insults him and slams the door. Rick hits on the cute barista Lee and aggravates her co-worker Brent, who wants her for himself. Luckily, Rick links up with Lee at her gym and the two agree to meet after working out for a date. Rick falls asleep in the hot tub and his muscles are too weak. He has to be assisted by two naked men. On the 6th day, Rick and Fred hit the bar with their womanizing friend Coakley. Rick runs into Paige, who has turned 21 and is celebrating with her Aunt Meg. Paige is attracted to Rick and wants to spend time with him, but he chooses to dance with Lee. Grace receives an expensive present from Jerry, and she goes to take it back but ends up having sex with him. After the act, Grace feels so guilty that she cuts off the relationship. Jerry agrees as he thinks that Grace is too old for him anyway. Meanwhile, Fred takes a girl home, but she suffers from allergies and explosive diarrhea, so Fred sends her home in a taxi. Suddenly, Meg knocks on his door, assuming Fred to be Rick. He doesn't correct her but invites her in. Rick has a fantastic time with Lee at a party in Coakley's house and asks her to do whatever she pleases with him as he has a free pass. Brent shows up and starts shouting at Lee for not attending a date he had invited her to. Meanwhile, Maggie has a dinner date with Jerry's coach. The coach tries seducing her, but Maggie rebuffs him. Rick is in one of the private bathrooms when Lee approaches him and offers casual sex. Rick cannot go through with it as he is in love with Maggie and cannot hurt her that way. Rick is about to head home when a phone rings. He answers it and learns some devastating news. Rick quickly drives to the motel where he and Fred have been staying for the week. He's accosted by Paige in the lobby, who thinks that he's sleeping with Meg. Rick denies this, but Paige has seen Meg's car in the parking lot. When Rick ignores her, she mentions that Maggie has been seeing a baseball coach. Rick gets to the room where Fred and Meg are getting frisky. When Meg realizes that Fred has lied about his identity, she hits him in the face with her foot. Rick tells Fred the news that Grace has been in a car accident, and the two friends rush over to their car. In the parking lot, the two men find Brent vandalizing Fred's car as he assumes it to be Rick's. Meg and Paige leave the motel, and to everyone's surprise, Meg is Brent's mother. Brent's anger reaches its limits when he learns that Meg and Fred are intimate. He retrieves a gun from his pocket and starts shooting at Rick and Fred, accusing them of stealing his girlfriend and mother respectively. The Logan runs out of bullets, so Meg and Paige tackle Brent, allowing Rick and Fred to escape. A determined Brent latches onto the car, resulting in a speedy chase with the police. The three men are arrested at the hospital, but Rick and Fred are soon released, and Brent is taken into custody. Luckily, Grace will be fine. On the other hand, Rick feels that he took Maggie for granted, and now he has lost her. He heads home and finds her. He confesses that he never used his hall pass, and Maggie says she never cheated either. He also admits that he lost his virginity to her. The couple reconnects and has passionate sex. On the 7th day, Fred and Grace reconcile and decide to hide their activities. Grace asks to see Kathy Griffin, prompting Fred to divulge that he slept with Meg. In the credit scene, Fred has a barbecue party and has invited Kathy Griffin. Gary's wife admires how happy Maggie and Grace seem and wonders whether she should give him a hall pass. Gary envisions sleeping with a married woman and accidentally killing her, her family, and bystanders. He's taken to prison where he is molested. In the end, he shrugs it off and agrees. Do leave a comment telling us your favorite part of the movie. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next recap. Until next time, folks, take care and goodbye.